Hiya crafty folks, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and today I have a mid-century Partay card. This is the mid-century Atomic Teardrops. This is a brand new stencil. I have a few colors from Catherine Pooler, and I am going to show you in a moment the direction that we're headed. Here's a photo of the finished card. This was so fun to make. Now, this month's release at A Colorful Life Designs for July is really fun. There's a couple different master creator bundles. If you're not familiar, what Mary Kay will do is she will group some of the stencils from the new release and offer them at a discount if you buy the full bundle. So this particular stencil is part of a mid-century bundle, which is available at 20% off. So if you want that full bundle, please use my link below the video. That does help me out a lot. And it'll let the owner know where the order came from. But if you just want individual stencils or individual bling or anything like that, be sure to use my coupon AMYFAN10 and you'll save 10% on your complete order. That just doesn't apply to the stencil bundles. Anyway, what you see here, these are my little blending brushes from Altenew. I'm just picking out the ones that are closest to the ink pads that I chose. And I'm just going to do some very simple ink blending on this stencil. And I'm using my makeshift setup here. This is actually a cake decorating tool. It's about 25 years old, so sadly I don't have a link. I believe it's Wilton brand if you want to look for something similar, but that is one of the Altenew sticky mats that goes in their kind of newish stamp platform. It's one of the, I think it's the low stick or low tack. And I just kind of have that stuck right on that little turntable. So it's kind of an easy way to hold down my stencil because where the stencil overlaps the paper, it really grabs onto that sticky mat. So sometimes I'll do this depending on the stencil, and sometimes I'll still use my magnetic craft surface. So it just kind of depends on the stencil that I'm using, whether I need pixie spray, whether I don't, kind of how detailed it is, how big it is. I kind of just determine as I go, depending on the supplies that I'm using. But basically, I'm just using these three colors and blending them across this card panel, and this is US A2 size 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But as you saw, I don't end up using the entire panel. I do end up die cutting it. So I'm carefully removing the stencil to reveal this awesome design. I was just pointing out where the stencil kind of came up on me. You can avoid that by using pixie spray. I didn't want to in this case. I was kind of being lazy. Now these inks did finally stain my sticky mat. It had been a while. It's usually the reds or purples that are going to stain your sticky mat, but again, it doesn't affect the use at all. It just kind of, imparts the stain just like it would on a stamp if you have some high quality photopolymer stamps. Now this die is a nested die set, I believe from Craft Stash. I will link it as well as all the other products in the video description box below. This is my folder of scrap fun foam. Now, some of it already has adhesive, some of it I put adhesive on from scrapbook.com, but I wanted to pop up that entire panel and have a little bit of color on the side when you look at it from the side of the card. So I'm just using this piece of red, and I use the exact same die, so it's going to be a perfect size to be even coverage of foam underneath the panel. And I'm just using some liquid Barely Arts glue, and I'm going to attach the ink blended panel on top of the adhesive backed foam piece, which is the exact same size. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll use my big ol' honkin' stamp block and put some weight on it just to let that glue kind of cure a little bit. Now, moving on to the next step, I'm just going to kind of position this on the card. I will eventually remove that backer and place it down, but I'm kind of trying to figure out the layout just in case I need to do something a little bit different. I often kind of think about the sentiment after the fact. It's probably not always the best way to do it, but it's just kind of my process. So I'm flipping through my sentiment book. This is my storage solution. This is how Sorry about that. Wow. Feedback. Awkward. I pushed the wrong button. Anyway, sorry. This is my storage solution to figure out or to store my sentiments. I do a lot of stamped and die cut, or sometimes just die cut sentiments, and I store them in these baseball card pocket protector sheets. So that's how I can kind of flip through and have a lot of stuff on hand. Just flipping through my options. I want one that kind of fits well within that composition. So again, this would have been a situation where had I thought about it in advance, I probably would have had more options. but it ended up okay. Now I went with this Parté. Sadly, that is a discontinued. I think it's from Photoplay, but the Parté makes me laugh because that's something my mom would have said. My mom passed in 2020, but I do just get a chuckle sometimes when I think about the funny way she used to say things. Not because she didn't know better, but just because she was kind of a silly person like me. So it's funny when I see this Parté, I always think about her. I always think about her. So this is a fun Parté card. So it could be for, a birthday card. And I can just kind of customize it later with a sentiment on the inside of the card. So I'm just going to use some liquid glue, and I have my tweezers here, and I'm going to place this down right on this little die cut circle, and that will kind of help give it some separation from that busy background to make sure that it is visible on the design of the card. So I'm just going to place that down, try and avoid the oozage, which you guys know I can't stand, but whatever. Anyway, I have these little kind of low profile. These are black. This package is really cool. It's from Simon Says Stamp. There's a variation in sizes, and they're all kind of lower profile. So I don't know if they're about 1 millimeter thick, but they're not particularly thick. So it's great for those instances when you want a little bit of dimension, but not too much. And I don't want to go too crazy because I already have the foam behind this ink blended panel, so I don't want it to sit up too high in case I ship it, because I don't want it to be too bulky. So I'm just going to place that down in the center. Now you can see I got some double dimension. Here I'm just showing you get white and black in this particular pack. So I will link that as well below. And when you do follow my links, it really does help me out a lot at no additional cost to you. Now to finish the card, I am going to use some card bling. This is kind of a new item in the shop at A Colorful Life Designs. You can absolutely use my coupon, AmyFan10, with the bundles of these, if the bundles are available, and the individual packs. So there are so many amazing colors now. I absolutely love flipping through these little containers that I found on Amazon to figure out which one is going to work best with my design. I decided to go with this color here, and I'm actually just going to use the design, the circles of the design, and kind of put them in those areas. So it's a little bit different than what I normally do, but I felt like it worked really well with this cool mid-century design, just to put some of these really cool, kind of similarly colored but shiny bits within the circles of the design. So I'm using my jewel picker tool and again some liquid glue and just placing this down. I think I did 3 on the top, 2 on the bottom. I may have come back and done another one on the bottom, I'm not sure, but I'm just kind of lining them up perfectly centered within those little openings, and I am using the same color or the same size of the bling edge on all of them. Yep, I decided to fill this one in as well, just for continuity, because it was another one that showed the full red. Here I'm throwing the card because, picture of Grace. Bit of a train wreck today, not gonna lie. But anyway, here is the finished card. I'm so pleased with how this turned out. Be sure to check out the rest of the July release. There's so many amazing stencils and new card bling that you don't want to miss. So thanks for spending time with me. I'll catch you next time. Bye.